Hi, my name is Kevin Rissmiller, and I appreciate you viewing my video blog. The title of this one, which may have caught your attention, is God is a Sex Offender. I brought this up in a previous posting called Child Molester, and I expect to get a lot of negative feedback about that, and I want to further go into explaining. For those of you who haven't viewed that posting, I'm sure you'll take a look at it after I tell you about it, but basically to cover it, most scholars believe that the Virgin Mary, my understanding is, most scholars believe that the Virgin Mary was approximately 13 years old when the Holy Spirit came upon her and placed Jesus in her womb. And I made the statement in the previous posting that because of that, if that were to occur today in Florida, the state I'm currently in right now, God would be considered a sex offender. Technically, that would be true under the law, because that's what the law says, that anyone under the age of 18 does not have the consent to have sexual relations. Now, am I trying to say, I'm not going to say the disgusting thing here that implies. The point I was trying to make is that God created, according to the Christian and most beliefs religiously, that God created us. Meaning He designed us, He figured out how we should become and what we should become and the way we develop, and that includes the sexual maturity of females. When they reach the age where they menstruate, have their period, for those of you who aren't familiar with the definition of menstruate, it's having a period. When a female reaches sexual maturity and the ability to conceive a child. Now, in the times where the Holy Spirit came upon the Virgin Mary and she was impregnated, which she was likely an early teen age, not after the age of 18. Under the laws currently in place today, if that were to occur today, that would make God a sex offender because he impregnated a teenage girl. That was the point I was trying to make. Obviously, it occurred in a different time, under different laws, in a different circumstance where people didn't live as long, in a different country where those laws weren't in place. I did not intend to offend anyone. The point I was trying to make is that God created us. He created the females, and He created when females reach sexual maturity. Politicians who think they're God have put laws into place deeming that they know better than God when a female is able to be sexually mature. And the way they discern that is she may be physically capable, but she's not mentally capable yet. Please, give me a break. We all know that there are women who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s who still aren't mature mentally enough to make the decision. And equally so, sometimes young people under the age of 18 are very mature from their life circumstances or situations. And if we were to hold that same candle to them, some of them are sexually mature and mentally mature enough. More so than some of those older women I mentioned in the 20, 30, 40, 50 zone. Deeming a mental maturity based on a calendar date is ludicrous, in my opinion. There are some women who, well into their older years, shouldn't have children, and they wind up getting taken away from them. We all know that's true. And just as equally so, when a young lady in her teens, there's been some good teen mothers who've really done a good job and worked hard and love their kids and take good care of them. And just as equally so, there are some who aren't. But to arbitrarily pick a date based on when they were born as when they are suddenly mentally capable to bear and have children, that's just politicians pandering to the voters. And the reason I say that is because these sex offender laws, while intended initially to protect little kids, and I completely agree with that. I am not in favor or on board with men molesting little children who aren't of sexual maturity. That's wrong. I'm also opposed to those who take advantage of those who may have reached sexual maturity but are still childlike in their minds. That's wrong. But do I think it's wrong when there's a mentally mature young lady who hasn't hit her 18th birthday yet, who's not only consenting to being intimate with the person, but wanting to have a child and would be a good mother? I think that we're making some mistakes with these politicians playing God and making laws over personal relationships and those issues, and meddling families who step in and use those laws as weapons against someone they don't like their child or family member involving themselves with. That's my opinion. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. You have the right and the freedom of speech. Go ahead, post your comments down there. Share this video in a positive or negative sense, whichever you prefer. I'm only expressing my opinion of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States that allows me to have free speech. I'm also thinking that I'm making sense, and it's common sense, and I'm not trying to be this perv. Oh, I want to take your little girl. No, that's not what I'm saying. And oftentimes, an older man can be a good provider to a young lady if they do have a true emotional and intimate bond. They do love each other. Sometimes an older man who's wanting to have children and wants to have a young lady who's of childbearing age that can have the strength and the ability to care for the child, there is some logic to it. And again, it's a tough topic. I'm not trying to pretend I know it all, or I'm just giving you my opinions. And the topic of this one is God is a sex offender. Yes, I put it up there to get your attention, so you can address this issue and also listen to some of my other posts. These are my opinions. You may not agree with them, you may not share them, and that's fine. But in this country right now, I still have the ability to express my views and thoughts and share them with others, and you can do the same, and you're welcome to. If you don't have the equipment or ability to, find someone who doesn't post your own thoughts and opinions. I encourage it. That's what this country is supposed to be about. I made that ludicrous posting of God as a sex offender because I'm trying to point out the ludicrous nature of the laws we currently have in place in this society, where we are deeming things based on a birthday. We have the law in place that you can die. You can go out and kill people in other countries because you can be considered old enough at 18 to pick up a gun and be legally authorized to murder people in other countries as a soldier. Yet you're not allowed to go get a drink in a bar. You can't do that till you're 21. You're not mature enough to go have a drink, but you are mature enough to murder on behalf of our government. Am I the only one who sees something wrong with that? I mean, why are we making these discernments? In California, I believe they've recently passed the law that you're not allowed to buy cigarettes until you're 21. Yet, if you're a California resident and you've hit the age of 18, you too can pick up a gun, go to foreign countries, meet strange and interesting people, and kill them. Well, nowadays we have drones, so you can do it from somewhere in who knows where in the Midwest, sitting in what's the equivalent of a call center cubicle in front of your computer and direct a drone to go kill people. Because you're safe that way. And that makes sense too in a warfare sense. I hope I'm making a point you understand here. These are the kind of things that, go on in my head, and I'm just sharing with you because we've become quite twisted as a nation. And that's why we've grown some homegrown terrorists. I'm not in favor of terrorism, believe me. I'll address that in another posting probably. God is a sex offender if he were to do today what he did with Jesus and Mary in the state of Florida. Does that make sense? No. And I'm not trying to imply intercourse occurred between God and Mary, so don't go there. That's not what I'm saying. It's sick. Even if it did happen, intercourse is supposed to be a beautiful thing that God gave us to occur between a husband and wife in marriage, and a marriage is supposed to be a threefold accord: you, your spouse, and God. I just am trying to share the thoughts I have on this. I'm trying to share the ludicrous nature of our laws. Because imagine for a minute how crazy that would be if the newscaster came on and said, God was arrested today for having committed a sex crime because he impregnated a 13-year-old girl. That is, in essence, what would be the report, would it not? If God had impregnated Mary today in the state of Florida, he would be a sex offender under the law. I don't like that, and if you don't like that, think about it and think about how crazy the laws are. God deemed that a female is sexually mature at a certain age. That being the case, why are politicians playing God? Why are they in your personal business? Because certain individuals, lobbyists or whatever you want to call them, have pushed to have these laws passed because they want to be in your business, and they're using their politicians to make that happen. Politicians did because they wanted the votes, they wanted the money from the contributors, and it's a safe topic for them. Why is it so safe? Because who's going to speak against it? You need to speak against it. I need to speak against it, which is what I'm doing. And we all need to make changes. We have a government that allows us to do that, even if it's not a popular thing. To those of you I'm making sense to, please step up. To those of you who are hating me for what I'm saying, comment below, feel free. Don't agree with me. That's the beauty of this country. We can all speak our opinions and not necessarily agree on them all. We have these 18-year-olds who fight and die for our privilege to do that. We dishonor them if we don't, right? I apologize sincerely from my heart if I have offended anyone with this comment. I love God in the best way that I can, and I'm actually a fairly good Christian when I try hard, and I make my mistakes. I covered that in other postings, and I'm assuming you're going to read after I pissed you off with this one. Please forgive me if I've offended you, but understand, you and I both have our rights to our own opinions. We can agree to disagree. Those of you who agree with me and understand and I'm making sense to, or maybe even have changed your mind about certain things, I appreciate your listening. Thank you. I appreciate for any and all viewers I get. Share your views. Share your opinions. Put them down there in the comments. It's hard to read in the yellow print. I got to change that to black since I've changed the lighting. But buy my book, Kevin Rissmiller, at Amazon.com. Do a search. Right now I've got 2 posted there as I'm making this recording. I hope to have more soon. And they'll also explain a lot of things to you as well, as will my other postings. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. God bless you. And have a good day.